Hello, book demons. Welcome to another spooky book episode.
Welcome.
In this one, we're going to take a look at a book that we read together while devouring the flesh of our enemies. Creepies, Creepies, Creepies.
It's good.
It is a compilation of short stories, creepy stories, selected by Helen Hoke or Hokey.
Yeah.
And it was published in 1977. Here's Helen, Miss Hokey. Here's a super interesting cover.
It's a cool cover.
There's lots of interesting sketches or
Illustrations inside. Each story comes with at least one illustration, and I was pretty fascinated with them.
Yeah, they were pretty interesting.
They're like sort of abstract.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Some of them are abstract. Some of them are incredibly detailed. But they're all like visually engaging, I guess.
Absolutely. And so some of the collections come from authors like Bram Stoker, H.P. Lovecraft. Anybody else that you would know?
I forget,
Robert Bloch.
I remember the two that you mentioned.
But not just random stuff. And so the stories were really short. And interesting. So the book was published, what did I say, 1977?
Okay.
So it's a bit older. And I thought that had like an interesting, creepy element to it as well.
Yeah. We still have, what,
Two more.
two more shorts. We haven't finished the entire volume, but so far I've liked the stories. There's like a couple that stick out.
You can look if you want.
The dancing robot one
Yeah.
was pretty cool. It's sort of like, I forget. So this was published 77. I don't know when the shorts were written, but obviously it wasn't after 77. So to think like they were worried about robots and AI and stuff sort of then, like it's interesting, and like it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool short story.
Mm-hmm. And the style of writing is very different and very unique for a collection of creepy accounts, which isn't something that you see much today. And then at the beginning of every story, there was like a creepy thing, in which the creepy thing is kind of how they all started,
Mm-hmm.
in which the creepy thing. And there was something in that phrasing at the very beginning that was highlighting where this story would proceed, in which the creepy thing sees without eyes, or I don't know.
Yeah, I did like the name of the book because they weren't really scary stories. They were just like creepy and unsettling and like far out enough that it was like uncomfortable.
Yeah. You'd finish one and be like, ugh, I don't know about this. Like, that was weird. And then this author, Helen Hoke, has other spine-tingling collections. Dragons, 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 witches, witches, witches,
Ooh.
spooks, 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 weirdies, 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 monsters, 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 devils, 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 haunts, haunts, haunts. So I am interested in getting the chance to read all of those. If you've read them, let us know. I'm curious if anybody else has read these or seen these. Maybe someone's parents grew up with these.
It'd be cool. It would be a cool collection to have.
Yeah, they're just interesting.
But we don't own this one.
No. Library.
Just rented it out from the library and borrowed. Use your local library. It's a great resource.
Yes. I will say I really liked the Natterjack. Is that correct?
I think so.
I liked the Natterjack one. It tells you in the beginning. So, what year some of the stories were published before being compiled into here.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. So
the Natterjack was by Mary Danby in 1975. And I really enjoyed that one. It doesn't have a date for the one that you mentioned, the dancing partner.
Yeah.
But the Skirmish, was that the one or was it the Animators? No, the Skirmish, 1950, the 50s, I think.
Yeah.
There's another one we liked. But yeah, it's just interesting. The Natterjack had to do with frogs.
Oh, yeah.
Or toads. And that play on
that was different.
Yeah, like them being, it was like a town of toads that all were able to transform into humans, but also toads. And there was an outsider that came to this town. A lot of country themes, too.
Yeah, there was a lot of, like, not the city. But cities were smaller. There was a lot more not the city back in the, 50s,
Yes.
60s, 70s. So.
That's true. A lot of that. And interesting, too, because a lot of it was, without the electronics that we have today. So you've got, the mailman coming, the guy dropping off bread, the postman. So there are these country themes of a time period that really doesn't exist much today, where you have to really go out of your way to be isolated today. But back then, there was lots of isolation and lots of opportunity to be on your own. So a lot of widows or widowers or just single people living in the country and with complete isolation, which just adds a nice creepy element.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of something you wanted to add?
No, sorry, I didn't have anything in particular.
I thought you were going to say something. It looked like you did.
Just that, you mentioned, there was more isolation, right? The technology is, one of the big things that we have now that, it used to be normal to, they're not home. So, I'll have them call you back when they get home, and I tell them that you called. Unless you want to try and call them wherever I tell you that they are. At the grocery store, you're going to call the local grocery store and ask them to, make an announcement over the PA. Yeah. Which what you would do if it was, an emergency and you really needed to talk to that person in that moment. But most of the time, it was leave a message and have them call me back, please. And so, yeah, it was a little more isolated. It's kind of nice, even.
Well, and that also led to some of the creepy pieces of these stories where it would take time for someone to find you if you ended up dead in your home in the country in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
I mean, that still happens plenty, I think.
Yes, but even more so then, where they added the one of the first stories, they ended up being buried in the grass. And were part of the reason why the grass was overgrowing to cover the body, and so
that was a good one. I like that story.
So they're interesting. I will say it was Skirmish. I just wanted to check. Skirmish was the one with the typewriter and the metal rat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I do remember that one.
This is one of the illustrations from that story, Skirmish. I really liked that one. And that was one that it said was published in 1950 something. And I liked that one because it had this idea that there was this sentient being that was putting life and liberation into the machines that surrounded humans. And so what happens when machines take on a life, but there's another sentient being greater than them as well that is basically recruiting them as an army to take over Earth. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's clever.
And a cool, because there was this typewriter, a cool concept when you think of the machines that were being used then versus now.
Mm-hmm.
Like now we have AI.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously it's very different. They were a little more crude and a little scarier machines.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be like, well, that's dangerous.
Yeah. You will die if you use that incorrectly.
I think a lot of people don't fully like grasp that most of even the annoying safety procedure stuff that we have is like because people lost fingers or lives. Serious stuff happened. So now it's like, now you gotta put a warning on this, put a guard over that, make it, it's like, it's I don't know.
But I definitely recommend Creepies, or any of the other books by Helen Hoke. And they're fun.
Use your local library.
Yes, go to your local library.
For just books nowadays too. They do sometimes like DVDs, right, and like music stuff, and so check it out. Some of them have like partnerships with streaming platforms, I think, and
Canopy is a big one.
Yeah, you're already paying for it, right? It's tax money, so like, go get it. Go have some fun.
And when you use it, more is invested into the things that you're using, right? Because then you're leaving a footprint over what is being used, and they want to reinvest in that. Also, lots of language learning, meetup groups. It is a great thing to do. So get it from your local library. Check it out. If you own it or you've read any of these weird stories, please let us know. I'd love to hear your thinking, or I'd love to hear from someone who maybe grew up with these as something that they read. I would just love to know what you were thinking and how it affected you as a child. Thanks for joining, you creepy creatures.
See you next time.